What is this four smart tropes making us stupid? It's at least the idea that I'm going to try to defend in this video. Get ready, generic. First, we have to understand what we call intelligence. Intelligence is not culture, if you prefer. It's not because we have read books, or we have 5 more than we are intelligent. Knowing that God of War was among the Romans, knowing how much there is in the human body, it's culture. It shows that we studied and have a good memory capacity. But on the intellectual side, it's not different to know the list of Pokemon. It can help the trivial continuation, but it doesn't make us someone intelligent. So intelligence is not memory, unless you think that a hard disk is intelligent. So what is intelligence? In the first sense, intelligence is the ability to understand things by resorting to reasoning. It's the aptitude to put in place a reflection to solve a problem or to explain a situation. Which means that you shouldn't confuse intelligence and intellect. A bush, Tron, that is the trunk of a tree, so that the tree falls in a certain direction, a boxer who analyzes the movements of his opponent to get stuck in the ropes, is intelligence. What would be stupid would be to run after his opponent to bring him hits without thinking, or to sit on the tree without asking himself where he will land. Intelligence is therefore a capacity of projection and anticipation that goes through the analysis of the parameters in the present. It's the aptitude to establish connections between causes and effects, which will allow us to predict what will happen depending on what happened or what I'm about to do. If I sell my island in the morning and that in the evening I ask myself where I'm going to sleep, it's that I've not proven myself to be intelligent since I haven't anticipated the direct consequence of my act. I haven't established the logical relationship between the A and B events. And that leads us to a second definition of intelligence, which is the sense of adaptation. We can take the example of the bush, Tron, that I used earlier. If the bush knows in which direction the tree will fall, it will be able to adapt its behavior to this information. For example, by avoiding to stay planted just below. Well, after every coffee as he wants. As for the meaning of anticipation, the meaning of adaptation can take different forms according to the contexts. For example, if Janami, whose parents just died, yes, I decided to watch the movie, that I'm telling him that my parents are going to spend their second honeymoon at the bottom of the mass. At that moment, what I'm saying is not intelligent, in the sense that it is inappropriate to the situation. I don't anticipate the consequences of my words on the one who is in front of me. I don't take into account its emotional situation. Intelligence is a proteiform phenomenon, and the mistake would be to reduce intelligence to its logical and mathematical version. The IQ, intellectual quotient, is a tool that allows you to measure the logical intelligence. And in Western culture, it is generally the IQ that uses references to the measure of intelligence. But we cannot have 150 of them and be a perfect result on the emotional, relational, or manual plan. There are people who are able to mentally calculate the cubic root of a number to 6 figures, but who are truly stooping on the emotional plan, or who wouldn't be useful for a tournament. If I meet someone for the first time, and I tell him that his trick doesn't come to me, I may tell him what I think, but on the relational level, I shoot myself in the foot since I send him a message of hostility while he did nothing. And that, of course, is not to be intelligent. So I made you a small selection of books on the question of intelligence that you will find in the description of this video. I chose relatively accessible books so that everyone can get into what interests him, whether it's about the QI or those of multiple intelligences, which is a concept that I invite you to discover if you don't know it. So we understood that intelligence was first a capacity for projection and adaptation to a context. But that doesn't answer directly to the initial question that was to know what intelligence can make stupid. Because in a sense, intelligence has never been a problem. We never heard someone say, "Oh la la, be careful. You're too intelligent, you have to get up." Well, you'll see that it's not as simple as that. We look at it. Intelligence is when intelligence is no longer invested in the resolution of problems existing, but in the creation of artificial problems. Intelligence is when we analyze things, not because the situation requires it, but because we need irrepressible to analyze everything. It is when, by our thought, we inevitably make things more complex just to please have problems to solve. At this point, intelligence is no longer a way to solve problems, but a way to maintain them or amplify them, just to satisfy our need to think. And thinking about a problem that doesn't exist is not intelligence. It's the opposite of intelligence, since intelligence will need to be resolved. So here, when I talk about an excess of intelligence, I'm talking about an hypertrophy of intellect. I'm talking about an excess of mental activity that is made up of the detriment of understanding. From the moment you think about it, you are no longer a way to understand, but become a purpose in itself. From the moment you analyze something useful but unenforceable, you get out of intelligence. You become a machine to think. There are people who are very intelligent, who are able to elaborate intellectual scenarios,